Hi everybody, I'm Tamara Kazziha and I'm with Savaal magazine's Savaal at Home sessions.
Savaal.
So I can't really say that there was a specific moment that made me decide to delve into those themes for this EP, but rather that it's just something that I'm kind of constantly exploring through art. I feel like I'm very kind of aware of, how connected I feel like to myself. And I have a very good memory, so I can kind of, look back and remember times where I had a very strong connection. And then if I'm not feeling that, then there's this kind of, urge to explore why I'm feeling disconnected and how can I get back to feeling like close to myself. So I'm kind of constantly going in and out of feeling connected, disconnected. And so it's something that just kind of naturally shows up a lot in my music because it's kind of the main way that I can delve into those parts of myself and really explore and ask questions that help me to heal and feel connected again. So what draws me is really the fact that I grew up between these two countries. Like I was born in Egypt and then I moved to Scotland when I was very young, and I would go back frequently to Egypt, so I've kind of been immersed in both of those cultures. Celtic music, especially through violin playing, they call it like the fiddle in Scotland. So I would learn a lot of like folk music, and it always had this very kind of ancient quality. There's a lot of magic associated with Celtic folklore, so that always like really appealed to me. I used to play for like dances and stuff when I was young, and it really stayed with me because I really enjoyed it. And the Arabic influence, I would say, has this kind of, it's a different kind of mysticism actually. It has a depth, and darkness is not quite the right word, but it feels a bit maybe, I would say darker, heavier than the Celtic influence that I have. And I think that comes out in my music through certain like melodic choices that I make in my compositions, and kind of being willing to explore this kind of darkness a little bit, which is really depth, the unknown. So yeah, I think it manifests that way. I was actually collaborating with a couple of different producers while I was in India. So when I traveled to Goa, I met someone there called Par, and he actually co-produced like 3 of the tracks on the album with me. So he was bringing his sounds, and then the other producers, Vishal Chasing, he's an amazing guitarist and drummer, and he was also bringing like his influences of like alt rock and some experimental sounds and ways of producing. So yeah, I would say that like that's kind of, I wouldn't say that the influence is like, in the style of like music from India or anything like that, in terms of the songs that I was writing, but the influences came from the fact that I was collaborating with Indian musicians. Yeah, so revisiting that experience was actually very powerful for me because I was able to kind of look back and reflect on ways that I had felt, and kind of just express through song like all the things I wanted to say, with all the power that I wanted to say it with. And there's actually a section in the song where I am kind of shouting affirmations to myself, like you are strong, you are free, and it's like really lowered the volume, kind of put it in the background. But that was a way of me kind of expressing this subconscious desire to kind of break through and break out of a situation. and I wanted to have this kind of like reflection of the dissociation that came with being in that relationship. So for that was using kind of this echoes and delay on the voice, especially in the beginning, to kind of show this kind of dreamy dissociated state, like and then to kind of juxtapose that with the power when the guitars and drums kick in, of, you know, all the kind of behind the scenes anger, frustration, being kind of just held within yourself, that goes on in the kind of in the subconscious. So I was kind of like trying to craft a sound that expressed those two qualities. So when I'm talking about magic, I'm actually referring to the Celtic folklore kind of music that I was surrounded by when I was a kid. It kind of has this fairy tale feel to it, slightly otherworldly, and like you're being taken into a fairy tale. So the violin kind of has that there, and then there's also like other sounds I used, quite light sounds, to kind of give this magical, otherworldly feeling. And when I'm talking about loss and healing, again, like I'd say that is expressed through the lyrics, because often I'm kind of delving into a memory or a feeling of grief, and then kind of finding a solution in a way, or not a solution, but just some kind of healing that I can bring forth through exploring that. I'm just kind of going into it and seeing where it takes me and where I end up, by bringing in some compassion to the experiences, which is what I try to do with most of my songs. So I would say through the lyrics, through the violin, and through these kinds of lighter sounds that I use to express this kind of otherworldly magic feeling. So I haven't actually widely performed these songs yet to a live audience. I'm hoping to do that soon, but the challenges I'm facing largely that I'm playing more instruments than I actually could play in a live setting. So right now it's deciding if I want to, sing and play violin along with a backing track that has all the other elements, if that's going to transfer well to a live setting. I'm not really sure yet. And as for ensuring like that the intimacy and connection resonates with the audience, I mean, I can never be totally sure that is going to happen, actually, but I really just try to go to a deep place within myself, to explore like deeply my own emotions and experiences. And I think I believe that, we all like ultimately have had similar feelings and experiences throughout our lives, just in different ways. So I hope that by tapping into that and really deeply, channeling from that space, that it will touch others, and that they will know where I've been, and they will see themselves also. So I had some really amazing opportunities, actually. Like when I came to Goa, I was playing with musicians from Delhi, and it was really enjoyable for me. Like one musician in particular, his name's Kartike, he plays the flute. He knew a lot of Celtic songs that I grew up with as a child. So first of all, I started playing these songs with him, and that was really like amusing for me, because like I didn't know that anybody from India would know these songs. And then he was kind of blending this with like Indian classical music, and I was just like so like excited by that. So I started then also trying to like learn a bit of Indian classical music, which I'm still like very, very much a beginner in, and it's not really coming through in these songs in this particular album. but it does. I am feeling like the influence of that in some of my improvisations, especially. Um, yeah, it's a lot more fluid and round. I feel the Indian classical music. It has this like roundness and like bending notes and yeah, moving very quickly between like notes and phrases, and I just found it absolutely beautiful. So I've been trying to learn and like imitate that and incorporate that into my music. So Lorena McKenna actually sings and performs a lot of music that has this Celtic influence. And I would say that she just reminded me of a part of myself. I don't know exactly where it comes from, like, because, you know, I wasn't really existing in the time where this music was like regularly played and performed. But I feel it, like it touches a very deep space in me. So when I heard her singing, it kind of just like reawakened this. It's quite haunting, her music, and yeah, feels ancient. So yeah, kind of brought this back to life in me, and yeah, you should listen to her if you haven't heard her already. She's amazing. And Aurora I love because she has this kind of like otherworldly vibe that she mixes with like mainstream pop music. I love the magic that she brings, and it's like inspiring for me as well because I feel connected to magic, and yeah, so I get inspired a lot listening to her. And Tori Amos is just an amazing, very like deep, soulful, expressive singer-songwriter, and she's inspired me a lot to go like deeper with my writing, and yeah, to try learning piano. She's an amazing pianist as well. So yeah, that's how they've influenced me.